Hi class, here's the first video on the causes of the First World War. So adventure, duty, bravery, glory, loyalty to king and empire were words that characterised the ideas of people when war was declared on Germany on the 4th of August 1914 by Great Britain. Many people saw the outbreak of the war as a result of the assassination of the Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the heir to the Austro-Hungarian Empire, by a 19-year-old Serbian. So at the outbreak of war, the expectation on all sides was that it would be quick, and it was predicted to be done by Christmas. Ideas of glory in war were seriously tested during the 4-year conflict that was called the Great War. This 3-metre sculpture, called 1101, was created to mark the centenary of the start of the Great War. It was bought by the residents of Seaham in County Durham and is a monument to the servicemen and women who fought in the First World War. It depicts a Tommy sitting thoughtfully moments after the armistice was declared at 11 a.m. on the 11th of November 1918. We're going to explore what caused such a war to start that would end with such weariness. So around the world there are many memorials to the First World War. Some are big, some are small, and many of them are dedicated to the large numbers of men who died during the conflict. One example is this one here, the War Memorial at Canberra. And in this image you can see a view of the Pool of Reflection, and in the background the domed Hall of Memory, which contains the tomb of the unknown soldier. Another is this memorial to the missing of the Somme at Thiepval in France. It records the names of the 72,000 British and South African soldiers whose bodies could not be found on the Somme battlefield. There are also many statues of important people who were involved in the decision to go to war in 1914, such as this one, which is Kaiser Wilhelm II of Germany. We've got King George V of Britain, and this one here was sculpted in 1947 and it's located in a park in London. Here's a statue of the Emperor Franz Joseph I of Austro-Hungary. He died at the age of 86 in 1916, and it's located in a park in Vienna. Here is King Albert I of Belgium, shown riding his warhorse and holding a World War I style helmet, which is this here. And it's located in Brussels. And there's also this 8-metre bronze monument to Nicholas II, which was unveiled in Belgrade in Serbia in 2014. And it was designed by Russian sculptors on the initiative of the Russian Minister of Culture. And there are many more than just these few. But in 2014, a new 2-metre bronze statue was put up in Sarajevo in Serbia, and it caused a lot of controversy. It's of a man called Gavrilo Princip, and Princip has widely been blamed as the short-term cause for the beginning of World War I. It's a war in which 17 million people died. But to many Serbs, he's a hero and a symbol of liberation, the beginning of the end of centuries of foreign occupation of this area of the world. But to others, he's a terrorist, a nationalist fanatic who began a war which saw the deaths of 10 million soldiers. Here we can see the statue being blessed by a priest, and here's another image of a famous Serbian filmmaker kissing the statue, revealing that it is an important image for many people. In this series of lessons, what I'm going to be asking you to do is to decide what really caused the First World War to start. There are both long and short-term causes, and we can see that at the end of the war, when the Treaty of Versailles was drawn up, one of the articles, Article 231, known as the War Guilt Clause, firmly laid the blame for the war on Germany. And this is the traditional Western view. But in the 1920s and 1930s, some people started to revise their opinions and argued that blame should be shared amongst all of the people involved in the war. And this is called a revisionist view because it revises what we thought. Hopefully by the end of these series of lessons, you're going to have an opinion on how much of the beginning of the war is Princip's fault and whether or not a statue of him is appropriate. So our lesson outcomes here. Everybody hopefully will be able to describe factors involved in the outbreak of the war and explain some or all of the reasons why the war began. Most of you should be able to break down evidence into factors to arrive at an account of the causes of the First World War and start to make a judgment about how important each of these different factors are. And some of you might get to evaluating evidence to provide a detailed judgment and use a variety of evidence to thoroughly engage in a class debate. So now you need to turn to your class notes, complete the readings, the closed passages, the source analysis study, and then you'll be going on to a group work activity, followed up by a class debate.